In this video, we are going to see how to add Stripe invoice details to Airtable. So let's say you're using Stripe as a payment gateway and you want that every time an invoice is created there, automatically the details of that invoice should be added to your spreadsheet here, Airtable. Now, how can you do this? For this, you will have to have some integration between Stripe and Airtable, and the same can be done using Pabbly Connect software. Here, your trigger application would be Stripe and your action application would be Airtable. Now, how can you do this yourself, integrate and automate this entire process? To understand that, let me take you to my screen.
To begin with the process, we are first going to type the URL pabbly.com/connect, and as we do that, here we have reached the landing page of this software. Now here, you can see two tabs, sign in and sign up for free. If you already have an account with us, simply sign in. If you are a new user, then you will have to click on this tab, sign up. It will not take more than 2 minutes, and also at the time of account creation, you will get 100 free tasks. So now I'm going to click on sign in as I'm already a user. And here we have reached the all apps page. Let's click on access now for Pabbly Connect. Once done, here we have reached the dashboard of the application. Now on the right hand side, you can see a tab create workflow. Let's click on this and a dialog box has appeared which is asking us to name this workflow. Now here my objective is to add Stripe invoice details to Airtable. So Airtable is a spreadsheet over here and Stripe is a payment gateway. So every time there is an invoice created on Stripe, so automatically the details should be captured on Airtable. So I'm going to write it as Stripe Airtable integration. So once done, let's click on create. Now here we have reached another window which has got the most important events. One is trigger and another one is action. Triggers and actions are those two principles or concepts on which this entire automation works. Trigger is when this happens and action is do this. So basically action here is the response of what happens in your trigger. So the first application that I'm going to choose here is Stripe and the trigger event. Now this is the event that will make our workflow start. So here let's go and select new invoice. So basically this workflow will trigger when a new invoice is created. Let's click on this. Now here you can see we have received a webhook URL. This webhook URL is going to act as a bridge for connecting Pabbly Connect and Stripe so that Pabbly Connect can have access to the information that is there in Stripe. Now I'm going to copy this. And how do we have to make this connection? So for this, we have to go to the dashboard's webhook settings section. So first we have to go to Stripe. So I'm going to take you to Stripe. This is in test mode over here. Let's go to developers. Once we are here, we have to go to webhooks. And here you can see add endpoint. Let's click on this. Now here we have to paste the URL that we have just copied. I'm going to click on continue over here. So we are going to paste this. And now as we come down here, you have to select the version. So we are going to select the latest API version. And now we have to select the event. Since we are creating an invoice, let's look for invoice. And this is the event that we have to select, invoice created. Click on add events. And then finally add endpoint. So once done, here we can see that our endpoint has been created, added. Now let's go back to Pabbly Connect. So once we have selected this, now I'm going to click on waiting for webhook response. So what we have to do is we have to now do a test submission so that the data can be recorded here in the webhook response and we will understand if the integration, if like the connection between Pabbly Connect and Stripe is made. So now I'm going to go back to Stripe and here I'm going to go to payments. Once I'm here, let's go to invoices. I'm going to click on create a test invoice. Let's click on this. Now let's select a customer. Once selected, the items. So I'm going to select an item which is webinar on is PHP dead in 2022. Let's click on this. So the quantity that I need is 2 and the price is 500 rupees. Let's click on save over here. So once done, here we are going to go to review invoice. Let's click on this. And now I'm going to send this invoice. As soon as I click on this, so here you can see that the invoice has been created. This is the invoice number. Now since the quantity was 2, so 500 into 2 is 1000. And here we have the details. This is the name of the customer, email address, phone number. This is the invoice number, billing date, billing method, due date, currency, etc. This is the description. This is the name of the product. right? So once we have received this, I'm going to go back to Pabbly Connect, and here you can see that yes, we have received the API response. So we have received the name of the customer, email address and phone number. But here we haven't received the payment details or the product details. So now to retrieve these details, I'm going to choose my next application again as Stripe. Let's click on this. And this time the action event would be to retrieve an invoice by ID. Let's click on this and click on connect. So I'm going to go ahead with the existing connection. Now here I have to provide the invoice ID. I have already received this information in my previous step. So if I'll take you down here so you can check this information. Yeah, so this is the data object ID, right? This is the ID that we are supposed to map. What is mapping? Mapping means that I already have received this information in my previous step and I'm just going to retrieve it here. And why do we map these values? Mapping is important so that the information that we are putting over here, the values, they will be changed automatically in real time. Basically, the next time when a new response will come, it will be changed. So now I'm going to map this information, go to step 1. Here I'm going to look for the ID. This is the data object ID. Let's click on save and send test request. So here we have received the API response. So you can see that the amount due is, now it's not showing 1000. In fact, it is showing me a much bigger amount. Why? Because Stripe doesn't take decimal point into consideration. If I take you further down, here you have the customer ID, then you have the customer details, and this is the name of your product. So we have received the product details as well as the customer details now. So what is my next objective? First of all, I'll have to correct the figure that I have received here. For that, I'm going to choose a feature by Pabbly, which is number formatter. Let's click on this. Here the action event would be to perform math operation. Let's click on connect. And now the number. So again, I'm going to map this information. Going to step 2. Here I have the amount due. Let's click on this. Now I'm going to put a comma and write 100. Why? Because I need to divide this by 100. And the operation here would be divide. Let's click on save and send test request. And here we can see that I have received the exact amount needed. My next objective is to add all these details that I have just received in my spreadsheet, which here is Airtable. So I'm going to add another action step. And this time the application is Airtable. Let's click on this. Once done, the action event here would be to create a record, and let's click on connect. As soon as we do that, here Pabbly Connect is asking to connect itself with the Airtable account. So I'm going to click on add new connection, and here we need a token. To receive this token, I'm going to click on this hyperlink, which is account. I've already logged into my Airtable account, so it's directly going to take me there. And as I scroll down, this is the API key, which is going to act as a token. Let's go back to Pabbly Connect, paste it over here and click on save. So once done, here we are required to provide the base ID, the table ID, channel, title, etc. So I'm going to first take you to my Airtable account to understand what are these. So this is my Airtable account. These are the various workspaces, and within each workspace there are different bases. I've already created a base. The name of the base is Stripe Payment Invoices and the name of the table is Details. Here I have the following column fields: name, email address, phone number, quantity, amount and product name. Now I'm going to take you back to Pabbly Connect, and here I'm going to write the name of my base ID, which is Stripe Payment Invoices. Since there was only one table involved, so it has already captured the table ID. Now the name. So here I'm going to map the information. So I'm going to go to step 2 and I'm going to write name. So this is the name of my customer. Then the email address. Again, I'm going to go to step 2 and this is the email address. Then the phone number. So again step 2, and here I'm going to look for the phone number, which is this. Then we have to write the quantity. So I'm going to look for the quantity now, and here it is 2. Then the amount. So for this amount I'm going to go to step 3, and this is the amount. Now the name of the product, and if I take you down here is the description. This is the name of my product, right? And finally enable typecasting. So if you want to enable it, it's okay, otherwise you can just put false. Now let's click on save and send test request. So here you can see that we have received the information, which basically means if this integration process is a success, so automatically this information should become a part of my Airtable. Taking you to my Airtable account, the base, and yes, here you can see that the information is now a part of this Airtable, which basically means that this entire integration process is a success. But we also need to check it in real time. So I'm going to take you back to Stripe, and here I'm going to create another invoice. So let's go back to payments. Here, let's go to invoices, create a test invoice. Again, I'm going to select a customer, this time the item. So let's say the item here is spoken English notes. And how many notes do I want? The quantity, let's say it is 3. And then I'm going to click on save. Once done, click on review invoice and send invoice. So here we can see that the invoice has been sent. Now if I take you back to my Airtable account, I'm going to refresh this page once. And here you can see that we have received the information. But you can also see that I haven't received the quantity or the product name. Basically, I have received the customer details, but I haven't received the product details. Why? I take you back to Pabbly Connect. Here what has happened? As soon as I have got the API response of my first step where I had received the customer details, so the action was fired. So now I'm going to put another action step over here, which is a feature by Pabbly known as delay. So I'm going to select this, and now how much delay do I want to put in my workflow? So I want it to be 2 minutes, so that once my entire workflow runs and once I have received the product details as well as the customer details, then only it should become a part of my Airtable sheet. So now I'm going to click on save and send test request, and I'm going to refresh this once quickly. So taking you back to Airtable, and here you can see that now we have received the entire response. We have got the customer details as well as the product details and payment details. So this basically means that our entire integration process is a complete success. And now I'm going to show you exactly what we have done. Going back to Pabbly Connect, the first thing that we had done was to choose our trigger application as Stripe, where the event was to select a new invoice. Next, our actions application was again Stripe, where we had to retrieve an invoice by ID. Then we had chosen a number formatter by Pabbly. Why? Because the amount that was mentioned in the previous step was not correct. So we had to perform a math operation there, division. Then again, the last action application was Airtable, where the event was to create a record. Since the action was getting fired right after the first step, so we were not able to accumulate the payment details along with the customer details in our Airtable. We had chosen another action application. Basically, it's a feature by Pabbly known as delay, and we had delayed our workflow for 2 minutes. So after this particular step, for the next 2 minutes, the data will not be shared, and then once the entire workflow is complete, then only the data will be shared. I hope this is very much clear to you. If in case you have any doubt, you can refer to the workflow which is given in the description box. Also, you can clone the same and start to process immediately. Apart from this, if you have any other suggestion or advice, you can always write to us.
Not only this, but you can integrate multiple applications using Pabbly Connect software. To ask any of your query, you have to write at forum.pabbly.com. You can also visit our website, which is www.pabbly.com/connect. To get all the details about the latest updates, the integrations and applications, you can visit our Facebook group. If in case you have found this video helpful, then do not forget to share this with your friends and colleagues so that they can also get into automation and make their life easy. I'm going to see you very soon with different integrations and automations. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Take care of yourself.